In the recent example of the media trial of JNU students and the role of the Indian state in charging these students with sedition, we see the important role that media can play, not only in shaping the national conversation, but also in framing and carrying out the role of the state. Particularly salient when looking at these media is the role that the media play in driving public opinion, but also in terms of directing the actions of the state, reproducing the actions of the state. What you have here now is a case that is built upon sedition charge targeting students, coming out of doctored videos, the veracity of which are now under question. What I will do with this particular analysis is look at the role of 24/7 news channels and 24/7 news stories and ask the simple question, to what extent are these news stories forms of news? To what extent are these news stories credible in terms of the news values that they carry out? For my example of analysis, I will look at one particular news show, the News Hour debate held by Mr. Arnab Goswami, and we will focus in on the February 10th debate that was at the heart of the public opinion that started categorizing and labeling these students as anti-national. So what we will observe here are snippets from the News Hour debate, and then I will analyze the debate to look at the way in which the story is constructed. Before we move on, let me establish a few ground rules about what makes up news or what makes up news value. First of all, news, by the definition of news, is meant to be balanced. That is, it is meant to give an opportunity for multiple viewpoints to be heard. A news debate is meant to be a space that brings out multiple viewpoints and gives an opportunity for these viewpoints to be articulated. 3, news as opposed to propaganda is meant to be a space for interrogating, for asking key questions, for asking questions about taken for granted assumptions, but also then through that process drawing attention to many facets of a particular issue. And finally, news as opposed to propaganda is supposed to be based upon evidence and claims that are connected to evidence. So we will analyze the News Hour debate and the way in which Mr. Goswami conducts this debate, keeping these 4 criteria in mind. Let's go ahead and get started.
On the one side, we have Nupur Sharma of the BJP. She's been a student leader herself in the past. Prafulla Ketkar is editor of The Organizer. Sushil Pandit is a Kashmiri activist. On the other side, we have Junaid Mattu of the National Conference. Omar Khalid, student activist of JNU. He's with us in the studio. He says there's nothing wrong. Ishan Anand is secretary of the Democratic Students Federation. And Lenin Kumar is former president of JNU Students Union, is a member of the Democratic Students Federation. Now, Lenin, Ishan, Omar and Junaid. Start with you, Lenin.
Yeah.
This is not Democrat. This is not leftist.
No,
and this is not freedom of speech to shout and say, let me complete, quote, India go back, Bharat ki barbadi tak, jang rahegi. It is not freedom of speech to say, Afzal hum tumhare armano ko manzil tak pahunchayenge. His arman, which I want to translate into English for all our viewers, is that you go on a campus and you say, India go back, and we take a vow that till India is destroyed, we will continue to fight. And Afzal Guru, you're the one who attacked Parliament, and till we achieve your aspirations, we will continue to fight.
Let's look at the way in which the debate is opened up, with the initial question being targeted at Mr. Lenin Kumar. This is hardly a debate in the way in which it is set up. Mr. Goswami goes on his tirade with a particular frame, making a series of statements, and watch here very carefully that there isn't really any evidence offered to begin with that would suggest or that point toward these students actually raising the slogans. So the basic premise that the students who are on the show actually raise the slogans stands unsupported. There is no evidence for that. But also, watch the slippery slope in the argument in terms of the conversation being set up as a dichotomy, as a either or kind of a situation between freedom of speech on one hand and anti-nationalism on the other hand. Moreover, as you move through the speech, what you see here is in the shaping of the question, it's a bunch of statements, quite extreme statements that are offered, and then the student is asked to respond. Statements such as, this is not democrat, this is not freedom of speech, and then the student is accused, so you want an attack on the Indian Parliament. So you see the movement from slogans being raised to the students being accused of wanting an attack on the Indian Parliament. There is a large gap which is not supported by evidence.
So you want another attack on the Indian Parliament. You want people who attack the Indian Parliament and terrorists to be glorified. And you then want to come out and say the lasting call of Azadi rings loud in the heart of every Kashmiri. That's not freedom of speech. I mean, what are you up to? Lenin, you'll open the debate, but one thing I'll say at the start to Lenin, to Ishan, to Omar, to Junaid, Sushil, Prafulla and Nupur. We will try our best not to speak over each other. Go ahead, Lenin.
First of all, we have differences with these, organizers, political differences. So political differences doesn't mean, they don't have the right to speak. Okay, we believe in this country. Whenever we come to the argument, not only this case, you can see the Rohit Vemula case, they say he's anti-national.
I'm talking about this case.
Yeah, wait.
I'm talking about this case, Lenin.
No, wait. Not only this case.
No, but I'm talking about this case. I am talking about this case. Do you feel it is freedom of speech to shout anti-India slogans on campus and sloganeer in favor of a terrorist by calling him a shaheed? You answer the question. Yeah.
First of all, we have difference of opinion.
No, not difference of opinion. Where do you stand?
Wait.
You're a former president of the JNU Students Union. Don't prevaricate. Don't prevaricate.
When Mr. Kumar subsequently then in his commentary tries to respond by connecting this particular instance with the broader instance of accusations of anti-nationalism hurled at anyone that raises an inconvenient question, Mr. Goswami cuts off. He shuts off that conversation and says, let's focus on the specific here on this particular instance. In that way, therefore, the debate already is framed in terms of its definition and scope, narrowing it down to this one particular instance, while simultaneously silencing the opportunity for the respondent in this particular instance to connect this story to the broader situation across India, where anyone raising opposing viewpoints or alternative viewpoints that question the state narrative are labeled as anti-national.
Mr. Arnab, I have, principally we are against death penalty.
No, there's no principal argument here. There's no, the argument is Afzal Guru is a terrorist. You glorify him on campus. You glorify him on the campus. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
When Mr. Lenin Kumar then subsequently attempts to depict this notion that there are differences of opinions between the former president of the student union and the organizers of the particular event, Mr. Goswami writes over that articulation saying that, well, it's not about difference of opinions, really tell us where do you stand on the side of this debate. So once again, articulation of context, articulation of the broader picture is driven out of the frame, instead building up to an either-or frame. We can already see the tenor of the narrative that is moving toward othering the subjects that are placed in a particular subject position.
Arnab, I have a point.
See, I have asked you one thing, Arnab. Mr.
Arnab, I have a point.
I have one thing where I have a newspaper evident where Akhila Bharatiya Hindu Mahasabha, he says January 26 is the Black Day. Then where about this?
Arnab, protest against death penalty. How does it translate to Bharat ki barbadi?
I have proof and saying it's a Black Day.
Protest against death penalty. How does it translate to Bharat ki barbadi? Please ask.
Why don't you
allow me to ask this question?
One second. This is the reality here today. Lenin Kumar, Ishan Anand,
Arnab, please
Omar
allow me
Khalid.
this
One second. Before you come in, Nupur, I want to say something here. This is the poster of the event, okay? And you say here, in solidarity with the Kashmiri people against the judicial killing of Afzal Guru and Maqbool Bhatt. Here it is. So don't tell me about evidence. My point is, you will not slam Pakistan for the atrocities in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. You will not slam Pakistan for the atrocities in Baluchistan. You will not, no, one second. You will not slam Pakistan or the Hizbul Mujahideen for the exodus of the Kashmiri Pandits. If you are not anti-national, why is the Indian state an enemy in your protest and Pakistan is not? Which side are you on?
Let's look at how this story is set up. The debate is not really set up as a debate. There are statements made by Mr. Goswami that give us the direction of the debate, that tell us how to think about the debate, but that also arrive at a foregone conclusion in setting up the debate. So we are not really here to debate, to consider the pros and cons and to think through, but rather to agree with the opinion that has been offered by Mr. Goswami at the very beginning of the show, that the students are anti-national, participating in anti-national activities that have very little space within the context of India, setting up the debate in terms of direct opposition or a direct struggle between freedom of speech and nationalism, the interests of the nation state.